Okay.
All right, I am here with Miss Courtney Poulos, and she is a big-time real estate agent out in LA, Land of Lala. But you are originally from State College, so tell me about State College to LA. What was going on in between those years?
Sure. So I left State College when I was 16, and I went to University of Maryland. I was working too many jobs because I was a smart kid, but I needed
You didn't want to be bored. You don't want to be bored. You didn't want to be bored.
I did not want to be bored. And I was just, I was just working my brains out. I worked at a reggae record label. I worked in PR. I was a fashion and entertainment editor in addition to going to college. And I got the opportunity to come to Los Angeles to do a press junket for the Beavis and Butthead movie.
Wow, that's going back.
I know. It was a long time ago. And they put me up in the Century City Plaza Hotel. And I got a $250 a day per diem, which felt like $1 million at the time.
In college, are you kidding me?
It was November, and it was 80 degrees. And I was like, I am never going back.
Oh, well, you know what? I cannot blame you. I can't blame you. And where did the itch for real estate come in?
So, Barbara Corcoran, who I'm sure you know from Shark Tank, she has this philosophy that you should have like 30 jobs before you find the one. Yeah. And for me, it was definitely true. I did everything. I was an actor. I was a singer. I was a professional dancer, not a sexy dancer, but like an actual dancer.
You weren't on the pole.
Not on the pole, despite my last name. I did everything. And finally, during the boom, I found myself as a first-time homebuyer consultant with a real estate brokerage here in Los Angeles. And the broker kept saying, Courtney, you got to get your license. And I was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not good at sales. I don't want to lie to anybody. I'm not going to sell somebody a lemon. Like, I cannot do it. And I went back to DC. My future ex-husband was getting his PhD at Georgetown. And I worked for a federal subcontractor as a editor. It was the Department of Health and Human Services Disaster Technical Assistance Center.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's not even half the name. It was
Were you living in the city?
Mental health services, assistance, disaster, technical, whatever. It was like some horrible, horrible place that had extremely bright fluorescent lights and mandatory lunch breaks and mandatory human resources meetings and these crappy 401k salespeople. And I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I answered an ad on Craigslist for a real estate assistant. And I've never looked back. And I was lucky to be trained and work in DC with some of the best real estate professionals in the business.
Now, were you living in the city or were you living outside the city?
I lived in DuPont, and then I moved to Arlington. I had my son, and then we decided to move back to LA. And when I came back to LA, I was like ready to go. I've been working for 5 years, and I thought I have something to bring to the table. And I went to all these big brokerages. And I remember going in like, look, I'm here. I've come back. Like, I'm amazing. And nobody was buying what I was selling. So finally, I just decided that until I built it myself, they weren't going to take me seriously. And so I opened my own brokerage. And here we are.
Acme.
So 8 years later, I have 25 agents. We are the premier brokerage for renovation resale in Los Angeles, like flip properties, transforming neighborhoods. We do volume between 500,000 and 2 million. And I'm very, very proud of the little boutique brokerage that we've created.
No, that's awesome. I see a phrase often, design savvy. Talk about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, what we noticed when we first started, which was 8 years ago when I started the brokerage, is that people wanted affordable design. Like, design on a budget was hot on HGTV. There were all these dumpster diver shows. And in LA, we have the benefit of having a lot of creative and artistic talent just among us. And so my first and keystone client was this company called Better Shelter. The guy who owned Better Shelter was the retail designer for Quicksilver, the surf clothing brand, for 20 years. So he started to turn to residential real estate, bringing that surf, west side, beach vibe to transitioning neighborhoods on the east side. And at the time when I started here, the east side was sort of known for its gang violence and its
criminality.
It was edgy. It's like Brooklyn,
Okay.
And we had to do a lot of work to build the neighborhood. So we created an organization called the NELA Business Culture, and we brought together all these different business owners who wanted to live, work, and play in the same neighborhoods. So we helped with building the neighborhood and building this culture, and also bringing this design to the East Side. Nobody had seen a house staged with a surfboard before for this price point. So it was inventive at the time. What it created, though, was a demand. So people, we realized, were willing to take a chance on location if they felt like the house was the house of their dreams.
Right.
So we created an aspirational approach to the real estate sales, where we take pictures, even if it's a $500,000 price point, which is the low end here, we take it as if it's a $2 million listing. We stage it with the best stuff and make sure that it really shows like how you can live. So it looks like West Elm and CB2, but it's affordable because it's on the East Side. And that created a movement, I guess I'd say. Wow. So design savvy is something that I think, especially in LA, it was very easy to get people to see the potential that a house had whenever you presented it in this really specific way.
Right. And I would imagine that having a boutique shop instead of working for one of the large companies allowed you that kind of autonomy to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, look, when I was working for a big box brokerage, I came to them and I said, I want to put the Better Shelter logo on the sign. And they said, no.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, well then I'm going to do it myself. So when I started my own company, exactly. So the reason why we're called Acme is because it's a generic name. We're the anti-brand. We're the rebel brand. We can put our clients' branding ahead of our own brokerage branding. And we don't have to ask permission from anybody to do that.
Wow, that's brilliant. That was brilliant. So now, is that how it led into your TV gig, My City's Just Not Into Me?
Well, it's funny, just to go back to the Barbara Corcoran thing, like you have to have 20 jobs. I've always been in like the theater and acting and singing and dancing and on camera work. So it was very natural and very easy for me to move into the reality TV space. The show was already sold when they brought it to me. So they were just looking for a host who had, they actually wanted like a young Barbara Corcoran type, somebody who had the time to travel and go all over the country and talk to different home buyers and sellers and really like tell their story. That said, real estate reality TV isn't all it's cracked up to be.
Are you wanting to reveal some of the dark side of it, or you just want to talk about the positive?
I just think that like the beauty of the human condition is that it's non-formulaic.
Yeah.
You know, unexpected things happen. And when you tell people stories, like there was one person on our show, she was a writer and she was writing a story on how online dating doesn't work.
Right.
And so she had to sign up for all these different online dating apps in order to do the research and background for her story. And she just happened to leave one of them active. She forgot to cancel Match.com. So she goes home and she had been drinking with her friends and she goes home and she sees, oh, you have a new match. And she's like, oh my God, like she's ready to submit her article on how online dating is so flawed and failed. And then she sees this match, and so she starts talking to him. Fast forward, he moves. They're married. They're like...
This is the ones that were looking in Austin or something?
They were looking... They ended up moving to Texas. They were in Nashville. It was like our first episode.
Oh, okay. It was Lubbock.
Yeah.
Is that one? Yeah. That's an awesome story. Yeah, so that's a great story.
Such a great story. And so for me, the story was so like... the compelling part, the surprising part. And unfortunately, in 30 minutes with commercials and sponsorships and stuff, you don't get to tell the whole story.
Right.
So,
and you're, because you were able to travel around all over the country, you were able to give more of an advice to anybody that you knew around the country on where's good places to buy, live.
For sure. And the most important thing about that experience is that it taught me, and it's something that I put into my book that I just released this month called Break Up With Your Rental.
Yes, we're going to get to that.
Yes, we'll get to that. But one of the things it taught me and reminded me is that we don't have to buy where we live. And if real estate where you live is not affordable, you can look in so many other different places and get great value for your money and become a landlord and invest in a long-term real estate plan that ultimately will net you way more than a 401k would ever net you, you know?
Oh, no question. So do you still use from that show the city personality test? Do you utilize that in your?
No. No, I don't. That test was a test that was real. Like it was based on a researcher's
like
test.
The Cambridge. I mean, we hear about Cambridge all the time. They're like a premier. That, I mean, I love the questions that you were asking.
Oh my God, they were so goofy though. But no, really, the majority of people aren't looking to buy in some random country. Random city in America. Most people are looking to buy in the town that they live and work in.
Right.
And so some of the questions really wouldn't apply, to most of my clients. If they came in and said, hey, Courtney, where in America should you invest? The first thing out of my mouth is State College, Pennsylvania. I think your market there is amazing. And I see so much potential there for what we do here to have like a life there. In fact, if anybody's looking to start their own brokerage and, franchise Acme there, I think it would work so well in State College.
Well, actually, that's why I moved back 10 years ago when everything was going south in the mortgage market, because State College is so economy proof. And it's not just the university. I mean, there's international companies that are here. And the alumni that come back and buy homes keeps it steady too, which I don't know why you were retired to this cold weather. Like I'm trying to get south, work on my tan. My people are tropical. I don't.
Yeah.
This snow stuff is for the birds. So let's get into the book now. The whole thesis of this book, I don't have any credibility because I have an XY chromosome, but I see it all the time. And I just posted something today about how 18% of the purchases last year were women. And the year before, 60% of the millennials were women, single women. So talk about the thesis of the book.
Yeah. So actually, while I was doing my work on the TV show, I met a woman who was an attorney in DC, and she had been renting, like with a 6-figure income, she'd been renting for like 15 years.
Yeah. She'd probably pay like $3,000 for a place.
My God. And But why do we do this to ourselves? So I realized there already, and I have people, and now that I've been talking about it, I see so many women who are single professional women who have more than enough income to qualify, being afraid to make their first purchase. I think there's like this one little piece left of the patriarchy, which says that we shouldn't buy a house until we're married. Like a house is something you buy to raise your kids in. So we spend money on disposable things like shoes, expensive shoes, or like a better car, or trips
everywhere. Yeah.
Instead of thinking, okay, I can take this $10,000 and put 3.5% down on an investment property in Oklahoma that 10 years from now I can sell for $100,000 profit and use that toward my down payment when I do meet Mr. Right.
Right.
So I've been selling real estate for 14 years, and I have to say, like, especially in the cities, in DC center and in LA center, where people are getting married later in life and are completely qualified, intelligent, educated people who are well employed, these women are the ones who need to have the fire lit under their ass to take their financial freedom a little bit more seriously. And my point that I make in the book is that financial independence is sexy. It attracts a higher quality partner, and also it gives you leg to stand on in case this doesn't work out, which as we know, it doesn't work out like 50% of the time.
Have you seen the Bill Burr talk about that, where it's obviously the statistic is 50% don't work, and he said, now if somebody told you were going to jump out of an airplane and you had a 50% chance of making it, would you do it?
Right. Well, this is where delusion comes into play. And I have to say, it's not like women are trained from a very young age to seek the attention of
the male. Yes.
like to be somehow validated by what you guys think of us. And unfortunately, it carries through until usually it's like some awakening happens. Either it's like, okay, I'm never going to get married because I'm too old to have kids, or, or you get married and it's abusive or something. There's some reckoning, oh my God, it's not what I thought it was moment.
Yeah.
I'm saying we can take preventative measures that will strengthen us just as individuals, that don't rely on other people to save us. There's no Cinderella story in real life. Of course, Meghan Markle, but even that seems like it might be loaded with issues. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the whole grass is greener thing, that could be AstroTurf on the other side.
That's right. Well, they say the grass is greener where you water it. So I'm just saying, all women need to be thinking about when they start making $70,000 or more is, how can I take my $6,000 bonus and actually apply it toward a asset that's going to appreciate, that may even potentially bring me some income, instead of throwing it away on higher rent, a more sexy car, or this Louboutin.
Right. Right. Well, I'm not going to be in that line saying don't buy Louboutins, because I love them, but
they're sexy, especially when you buy them from a consignment shop.
Oh, they're even sexier. Yeah, no question. And this is not to say that, I mean, I'm not anti-marriage. I'm just saying the reality of what I see, especially like with divorces. Like when I have a client that just, the divorce might hit them suddenly, and they're like, what am I going to do? Am I going to have to pay for this note, or is he going to pay for it? Do I move and get my own place? And it's always one of those things, as you said, it just falls in their lap, and it's like, oh my God.
Especially when women, again, by and large, we have to work like we have no children and raise children like we don't have to work. It's like we have created by default, or by not challenging it, a system where we have to be super women. We have to be sexy, thin, educated, amazing parents, and we also have to have something to stand on our own. I think it can be much simpler than that. Especially if you start young. I bought my first place when I was 26, I think. And if I had to do it again, I would have bought it much earlier. I mean, that property that I bought for $200,000, my first property that was $6,000 down, is probably worth $400,000 now.
No question.
If I would have just held on to it for one cycle for 10 years, I would be $200,000 richer right now. And certainly the rent would have paid the mortgage.
Well, and that's what people sometimes are intimidated by, I'm guessing. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just I say, hey, what are you paying in rent? And then I just show them with the numbers how much house they could buy.
Right. And also, people don't think, my rent is a net loss. I'm actually losing that money over a year. They don't add it up and go, for 15 years, I've been renting at $2,000 a month. I could have had XYZ for my, down payment already in it, And I also remind people that when they're buying real estate, it's not like you're spending it. Even though it feels like a big purchase, you're spending 20% down. The bank is spending 80%, but they're allowing you to take your $1 and turn it into $2. You're really just moving your savings from your savings account to a bank of your house.
Right, and here's the other thing. I think our grandparents and great-grandparents were just raised to believe, you're going to live in this house for 30 years. And nobody's doing that. I mean, our generation and younger.
But this is what I'm talking about. It's like this post-World War II normalcy era fantasy of the cul-de-sac and the white picket fence, and real estate is the place where you raise your kids. And if you don't have kids, or you can't afford a single family house, then you might as well just rent in the city. It's less, it leaves you free. You can meet the man of your dreams, and he'll sweep you off your feet and move you to Denver, and you can buy a house there, with his money.
Right.
I think it's the right moment for women in America, especially given the numbers. When you look at how many women are actually participating in this economy, it makes sense that we start doing a little bit more financial education for these professional women earlier on in their life, so they don't have to make the same kind of mistakes that my mother's generation made, where when they got divorced, they had nothing, they were starting over and suddenly end up on food stamps. It's ridiculous and preventable.
Yeah, that autonomy that you have by owning a home as a single woman, you can't even put a price on that because it does leave you options. And I think you're right also, it does make it a more attractive overall picture for some.
Yeah, and then you also have a leverageable asset. So it's like, for example, our friend Lisa, you know, she bought a house as a single woman. She has enough equity in it that she can, for example, start a kombucha company, and she can rent out, you know,
On football weekends
for game day. You know, she has this thing she can use, borrow against if she needs to, or put money into and increase its value. It's this thing.
build
And
retirement. And,
yeah, exactly.
and you know, like for me, the way I see it is, you know, she is doing the Lord's work. I'm not religious, but teaching is like one of the most admirable positions, but they're not getting paid. So she has this asset that is allowing her to realize what her picture of the American dream is. If it includes, you know, a partner, a significant other, great. If not, she's still doing her thing and she's still.
No, she's a teacher. It's like anybody can do this. If you read the book, Break Up With Your Rental, there are stories in this book from women in all different kinds of scenarios, all different kinds of situations where they had to make certain clever choices in order to get out of the situation that they were in. I have one client, she came to me with a short sale on her record from Vegas, and she had very little money down. So it was like FHA.
Right.
She said, how am I going to get a house? And I'm like, just let's find one and we will make it work.
We'll figure
so
it out.
we did. We found a house. She bought it for $435,000. This is about 6 years ago. That house now is worth $1.2 million at least.
She bought it during the carnage.
She bought it in 2010, I think.
Yeah, just when things were still.
Maybe so 8 years ago.
Vegas was horrible. That market was.
Yeah, it was really bad. But the thing is that the brain is a crazy thing. The brain never says, oh, prices are going down. Now's a good time to buy. The brain says, oh, prices are going down. Maybe I should wait until it hits the bottom. And you know, I don't want to buy something that's going to lose value at the minute that I buy it, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, the smart people among us realize there is no right or wrong time to buy. There's only a wrong time to sell. And the people who are the smartest among us hold on to it through an entire cycle.
It's a long play, yeah.
And yeah, it's a long play. And you know, on a 30-year loan, the first 10 years are mostly interest anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a tenant, if you rent it out for year 10 to 20, they're paying your principal down with their hard-earned money. You probably have equity. You can pull it out and buy something else that you want to live in so that you're not just paying rent. So now you've got two appreciating assets.
Exactly. You need to be, look, Courtney, you need to be out there screaming it from the streets. The book is out now. You can get it on Amazon, correct?
You can get it on Amazon. Our website is up. It's breakupwithyourrental.com. And also I have an Instagram page at breakupwithyourrental.
Okay, so there's other things that you're involved in that are impressive to me, and I want you to talk about them. Number one is Awesome Females in Real Estate. And is Woman Up Initiative. Talk about those two.
Sure. So Awesome Females in Real Estate is an intimate group of women from all over the country who get together in Arizona every summer, and we mastermind. So they're from different aspects of the real estate industry. So it's not just real estate agents, it's tech companies and, you know, kind of hybrid platforms, like part online brokerages, part more, you know, retail more brokerages. It's a group of women who are trying to figure out how to best make their next play. So I love that group because it does have a safe space for people to share their failures and their vision. And it doesn't feel like you're competing with each other in your same market, which is a thing with real estate agents. We don't really want to share our secrets too much.
No kidding. Yeah. So that's
Awesome Females.
Okay.
And that's headed by Bernice Ross, who's amazing. She wrote the white paper on women in leadership in California, and she is a professional coach. She now has something called Brokerage Up, which is a training program for broker owners to try and get the most out of their recruitment. And so she's really a dynamic experienced lady who gives her wisdom away. And I just adore her, Bernice Ross. She's amazing. But Woman Up is interesting because it just started a few years ago in California. It's going national this year. It is the mission of the California Association of Realtors to close the gap in leadership, the difference between our membership numbers and our leadership numbers, male versus female. So women are a majority of licensees, and yet we're a minority in broker ownership or leadership within our firms. So it is a platform and a community of extraordinary women. In fact, there was this one woman who spoke at the first Woman Up. She got her real estate license in 1962 in Los Angeles.
Wow.
2 years before the fair housing regulation was passed. And she's a Black woman from South Los Angeles, and she couldn't get a job. She got her license, but no one would hire her. Right. So she started her own brokerage, man. Like,
wow, 62. I mean, we all didn't even have the right to vote in 62. That's amazing. I
know, like,
wow.
The fact that she did not, I think I just like spit on my.
No, you're fine. No, you're good. I didn't see it. But
she was fearless, you know, and amazing, and has so many incredible stories to tell. Like, you know, but the point is, women can do anything, especially if they stop asking for permission from the bureaucracy. That's the lesson. And especially in California, we have the benefit of having a very diverse population, north to south. Mm-hmm. And so we can be more inclusive and set the trend nationwide for women in leadership in real estate.
Well, so if someone wanted to, because you need to be speaking, you need to be on the pulpit, how can they book you? Are you going around the country? I mean, how are you selling book? I know you're on Good Morning America.
Yeah. Well, there is a press effort that will be starting very soon. We're just waiting for Valentine's Day, really, because the idea here is that you might not have a significant other to share your Valentine's Day with, but you might have the opportunity to put your bet on yourself. And it's like, you know, that's what we've been waiting for. So in the next 2 weeks, there's going to be a book tour, and there is going to be a press launch and a press effort around the stories of the book. Hopefully we'll be able to feature some of the women like Lisa who are included in the book and can tell their stories about getting over their fears around buying a house. I have a hypothesis, and my hypothesis is I think that certain professional women think that if they buy a house without a significant other, that they're condemning themselves to be alone for the rest of their lives. And I think women, you'll hear them say all the time, I think I'm just going to be alone for the rest of my life. Like they, you know, it's like this one final thing. If they do that, then they know for sure the nail's in the coffin. I'm like, no. Anyway.
Yeah, these are the insights. Yeah, these are the insights that I need to hear, because I mean, I get it. The empathetic side of me understands that, but that's crazy. I mean, to
answer your other question, I spoke at Inman. At Inman this January, a couple of days ago, which is huge, and I'm going to potentially be also at Inman Las Vegas this summer. But we're going to be doing speaking gigs wherever people invite us. I do not care. I will go there and talk. So
how would they get in contact with you if they wanted to? Number one,
Instagram, the website.
Right. So I'm going to put all that up.
Acme-re.com.
Yeah, I'm going to put all that up so people can get in contact with you, because you have a message to send and it needs to be out there. And again, I don't have credibility because I have an XY chromosome, but I see it in my business all the time where the women don't feel they have the ownership to go and say, look, I'm just going to do this. And I mean, you know, it is empowering, I guess is the best way.
100% is. And you do have the credibility, and we need people like with XY chromosomes to support us.
Yeah, we're not very smart though. I mean, even, you know, like with a married couple, it's usually the woman that's making decisions, because all those things, we don't even have the words to describe the colors or what we're looking for or anything like in general. and
Well,
journalists.
yeah. I mean, listen, we are nesters by and large. Women
Yes.
find creativity to be something that's natural to
Yes.
our happiness, and we need to have an environment where we can choose the paint colors. You know, that is an important part of the creative force of females. Like, we create things. We're creators.
Right.
You guys are destroyers. That's not my fault. But I do think that we need you to support us so that we can, you know,
You want a balance.
feel like we're not alone.
A balance. That's what we're looking for.
A balance. A balance.
You know, like if you get tired and say, hey, look, you got to go. You know, this is my house. You got to go. That's empowering, right? Well,
right.
I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I love the message. And anyone who wants to, I mean, there might be women out there that want to do what you do too. So I know you have all kinds of advice to give. And once the book is out there a little bit more, I want to dive deeper. I didn't want to like give everything away in our conversation.
Sure. Yeah, we can do a whole one of these just on the book.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get Lisa. I'm gonna interview Lisa too, the rock star that she is.
Yes.
And I will, like I said, I will defer to you as the president of her fan club.
Thank you. I already won. Show this picture of us dancing in 8th grade.
All right. Well, she's gonna kill you, not me. All right. Well, go out there, sell, and keep closing. Coffee's for closers. Thank you.
Thank you.